What if I told you that medieval peasants stayed warmer in winter than you'd expect, sometimes even rivaling today's modern heating systems? From cozy central hearths to surprisingly advanced heated floors, they used clever, resourceful methods to keep the cold at bay. And they did it all without electricity, central heating, or modern insulation. In this video, we'll explore 10 brilliant medieval heating techniques that didn't just keep families warm, they helped build stronger communities. Step into the past and see how surviving the cold became a true craft. In medieval homes, warmth began at the heart, literally. The hearth, a central fixture in the main room, was the go-to defense against biting cold. Unlike today's wall-mounted fireplaces, these fire pits sat right in the middle, radiating heat in all directions. Surrounding stones soaked up the fire's warmth and continued to release it long after the flames burned out. It wasn't just a fire. It was a smart, natural heating system that kept the entire household cozy. There was just one major drawback: smoke. Without proper chimneys, the thick fumes from the fire had nowhere to go but up through a simple hole in the roof. That meant living spaces often filled with soot and the lingering scent of burnt wood. Still, medieval peasants didn't complain. The warmth was worth it. The hearth was more than just a heat source. It was the center of daily life. It's where meals were cooked, stories were told, and families found comfort during long, frigid nights. In many ways, it was the beating heart of the home. While the hearth did its job indoors, medieval peasants had clever ways of capturing warmth from the outside world too. While the central hearth kept things cozy inside, medieval peasants didn't stop there. They also tapped into the power of the sun. Despite their simple tools, their homes were surprisingly well designed to make the most of solar energy. Built with intention, many houses faced south to soak up as much sunlight as possible during the low winter months. Broad windows welcomed in the warmth, while thick walls made of stone or clay acted like natural thermal batteries, absorbing heat by day and releasing it slowly through the night. It was passive solar heating centuries before the term even existed. It was a simple, yet highly effective form of passive solar heating, something we still incorporate in modern sustainable design. On top of that, peasants made use of natural insulating materials like wood and straw. These helped trap warmth inside, slowing the escape of heat. In the coldest areas, homes were even partially dug into the ground, offering an extra layer of protection from the harsh winter cold outside. Solar heating wasn't just a luxury, it was essential for survival. On sunny days, peasants would open doors and windows to let in the warmth, while on cloudy days they turned to the hearth and other heat sources to keep the chill at bay. This blend of strategies shows how resourceful medieval people were. Without modern technology, they made the most of what they had, adapting to their environment in smart and practical ways. And it wasn't just the sun keeping them warm. Animals played an important role in heating their homes too. If you've ever seen a medieval house in movies or artwork, you've likely spotted its iconic thatched roof. But these roofs weren't just picturesque. They were a smart, practical choice for retaining warmth during the winter. Crafted from tightly packed straw, they provided excellent insulation, trapping heat inside and keeping the cold out. Straw was both plentiful and inexpensive, making it the perfect material for peasant homes. Not only did it insulate well, but it was also water-resistant, offering added protection against rain and snow. Of course, thatched roofs weren't without their drawbacks. They had to be replaced fairly often, as they would rot over time and could attract pests like insects and rodents. However, for peasants, the advantages far outweighed the inconveniences. In winter, the thick straw layer worked to trap and retain the heat from the central hearth and the sun, keeping the house warmer. Plus, straw was lightweight, which made it easier to build and maintain roofs, offering a practical solution despite the occasional need for upkeep. Interestingly, thatched roofs played a social role as well. The process of building and maintaining them was often a community effort, with neighbors and families working together. It wasn't just about getting the job done. It was an opportunity to strengthen ties and make sure everyone was ready for the cold months ahead. While the thatched roofs helped keep heat inside the home, the animals living nearby also played their part in keeping things warm. In a medieval home, animals weren't just for food or labor. They were crucial allies in the battle against the cold. Many peasant homes included attached stables where cows, sheep, chickens, and even pigs lived right alongside their human inhabitants. This close quarters arrangement wasn't just for convenience. It was a clever heating tactic. The animals' body heat helped keep the living space warmer, especially on freezing nights. The walls between the stables and the main room were thin, allowing the warmth from the animals to seep into the home and raise the temperature. In some homes, animals took up as much as 30% of the living space, serving as a natural source of warmth, but their contribution didn't stop there. Animals also provided valuable resources during the winter months. Manure, for instance, was collected and used as fuel for the hearth when firewood was in short supply. And beyond heat, animals offered essentials like milk, eggs, and wool, key to the peasant's survival throughout the cold season. Of course, living alongside animals wasn't without its downsides. The smell of the stables could be overpowering, and the insects they attracted were a constant hassle. However, for peasants, the advantages far outweighed these inconveniences. In the depths of winter, every bit of warmth was invaluable. While the animals contributed to keeping the house warm, peasants also had clever methods to heat the ground beneath their feet. Imagine stepping onto a warm floor during a freezing winter morning. For medieval peasants, this wasn't a luxury. It was a vital necessity. They devised a clever method to heat their floors: heated stones. Large stones were heated in the central hearth and then placed beneath the wooden or earthen floor. These stones would hold onto the heat for hours, radiating warmth into the room and keeping their feet toasty. It was a rudimentary form of radiant heating, not unlike the underfloor heating systems we use today. In addition to stones, some peasants used bricks or clay to build floors that could absorb and hold heat. These materials were particularly effective in homes that were partially buried in the ground, where the earth acted as an extra layer of insulation, helping to maintain a steady, comfortable temperature. Heated floors weren't just a comfort. They served a practical purpose too. In homes with damp, cold floors, the heat from the stones helped dry out the moisture, reducing the risk of illness. Plus, the radiant warmth from the floor worked in harmony with the heat from the central hearth, making the entire home more inviting and cozy for the family. Naturally, this method required some work. The stones had to be heated regularly, and the floors had to be constructed carefully to prevent any risk of fire. However, for the peasants, the effort was worthwhile. In the harsh grip of winter, every bit of warmth was invaluable. While heated floors kept their feet warm, peasants also relied on portable methods to stay cozy throughout the day. While the warmth from the hearth and heated floors kept medieval homes snug, peasants also needed ways to stay warm when they were outside. After all, work in the fields and villages didn't pause, even during the harshest winter months. That's where portable warmers came in, like heated stones and the clever chauffeurs. Heated stones were one of the simplest yet most effective solutions. They were heated in the fire, then wrapped in thick cloth or animal skins. Peasants would carry them in their hands, pockets, or even tucked inside their clothing, enjoying the warmth they radiated for hours. It was a practical way to stay warm while working outdoors or traveling in the cold. The chauffeurs, on the other hand, were small metal containers, similar to cans or pots, filled with hot embers or burning charcoal. These handy devices were especially favored by women, who used them to warm their hands or legs while doing chores or walking through the village. Some chauffeurs even featured decorative handles, proving that even in hard times, medieval people still valued a touch of style. Of course, these portable warmers weren't without their dangers. Overheated stones could burn, and chauffeurs had to be handled carefully to prevent fires. Yet, they were essential for peasants who had to endure the cold no matter the situation. As night came, though, the focus shifted to another important form of heating, keeping the beds warm. But how did the medievals ensure their beds stayed cozy? The answer involved a practical solution, though it sometimes came with a few unwelcome companions. After a long, cold day of work, there's nothing quite like slipping into a warm bed, right? Medieval peasants felt the same way. But without the luxury of electric blankets or duvets, they had to get inventive. Their solution? Warming pans and canopy beds. Warming pans were metal containers, often made of copper or brass, filled with burning charcoal. Before heading to bed, peasants would slide these pans between the layers of bedding to heat the sheets and ward off the cold. It was a simple yet effective method that ensured a few hours of warmth. However, it required caution. If the pans weren't placed properly, they could cause burns or even start a fire. Canopy beds offered another clever solution. These beds featured heavy curtains made from thick fabric that could be drawn around the mattress. In addition to providing privacy, the curtains helped trap body heat, turning the bed into a cozy, insulated space. To make it even warmer, some peasants added wool blankets or animal skins, which provided extra protection against the cold. Of course, it wasn't all ideal. Hay beds, which were common at the time, provided warmth, but also attracted rats and insects. Imagine trying to sleep while the scurrying of rodents echoed beneath your mattress. Despite the discomfort, peasants prioritized warmth over everything else. While cozy beds offered more restful nights, medieval people also had clever ways to increase heat during the day. These solutions required a bit of ingenuity and a lot of creativity. Imagine boosting the heat of a fire without needing to add more firewood. Medieval peasants figured out how to do just that by using heat reflectors, an inventive method that made fires even more efficient. These reflectors were crafted from materials like polished metal or smooth stone and placed behind or around the hearth. The reflective surfaces would redirect the heat from the flames into the room, preventing it from escaping through the chimney or walls. It was a simple yet brilliant way to make the most of a fire, especially in homes where firewood was limited. Heat reflectors didn't just boost warmth, they also served a practical purpose by shielding wooden or straw walls from direct heat, helping to reduce the risk of fires. In larger homes, movable reflectors were used to direct heat to specific areas, like beds or work tables, ensuring comfort where it was most needed. Reflectors weren't just practical, they also added an artistic touch. Some were adorned with engravings or patterns, proving that even the most functional items could be beautiful. Of course, using them effectively required some know-how. Reflectors had to be positioned carefully to ensure the heat was spread evenly, avoiding any concentration in one spot that could lead to discomfort or even damage. After all, in a harsh winter, every extra degree of warmth mattered. While reflectors helped amplify heat inside the home, medieval people also knew how to make heating a shared experience. But that's a story that involves bonfires, feasts, and plenty of togetherness. In a medieval village, winter wasn't something to face alone. It was a collective struggle, and nothing symbolized this unity better than the communal bonfires. These large fires, often lit in town squares or common areas, provided warmth and a place for people to gather, share stories, and enjoy each other's company. The bonfire wasn't just a source of heat, it was the heart of social life during the cold months. As the flames crackled, villagers gathered around to chat, sing, and even dance. It was a chance to forget the cold and strengthen the bonds of community, bonds that were vital for survival during harsh times. Beyond their social role, communal bonfires also served a practical purpose. They acted as heating points for those who needed to leave their homes, whether for work or to visit neighbors. In smaller villages where homes were modest and often poorly heated, these bonfires were a true lifesaver. The warmth of the bonfires wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. On particularly cold nights, villagers came together to celebrate festivals and perform rituals around the fire. Yule, for example, was a pagan celebration of the winter solstice, featuring grand bonfires, feasts, and gift exchanges. These joyful occasions lifted spirits and provided much-needed light and warmth, even on the darkest winter nights. While communal bonfires brought people together, they also served as a reminder of the strength found in unity. Winter was harsh, but the bond of solidarity was even stronger, showing that together, medieval people could face and overcome any challenge. Winter was a true test for peasants. With freezing temperatures, scarce resources, and tough living conditions, each day felt like a battle for survival. Yet, through creativity, collaboration, and sheer resilience, they found ways to brave the cold and ensure their families made it through to the warmth of spring. From central hearths to communal bonfires, from thatched roofs to heated floors, every aspect of peasant life reflects a profound connection to nature and remarkable adaptability. Though they lacked modern technology and plentiful resources, they cleverly made use of what was available to them. While they battled the cold, peasants also made time to celebrate life. Festivals like Yule and Christmas brought warmth and joy to the darkest months, reminding everyone that winter wasn't only a time of hardship, but also a season of unity and hope. The story of medieval peasants shows us that human resilience can triumph over even the harshest challenges. They didn't merely survive winter, they mastered it, turning survival into an art form with creativity, cooperation, and a profound knowledge of their surroundings. What about you? How do you think you'd handle a medieval winter? Could you face the cold using the same clever strategies? Let us know in the comments what surprised you most during this journey through history. And be sure to subscribe for more captivating tales from the past.